The top 10 NES games on Nintendo Switch Online is an interesting question because it's not just about the best NES games, but it's about the best NES games that are available for Nintendo's subscription service and what games you should really put your time and energy into because you actually have access to the NES game library if you have Nintendo Switch Online at all, at any tier. And so there's some good shit to play out there. So today we're counting down the top 10 games on the NES application for Nintendo Switch Online, so let's get into it. Number 10 is going to be Blaster Master. Blaster Master is a really cool game that came out a long time ago, but it has gone down as one of the best NES games, and honestly, recently, it got a revival with Blaster Master Zero, I believe in 2017, which was a huge deal for a lot of people, and they were very excited to see the return of the series. And that's because this original game is so damn good. It's really cool because it has all these it's basically like a Metroidvania where you play as a tank and you're shooting a bunch of enemies and stuff like that and exploring in a tank, but then there's also these sort of top-down elements where then you jump out of that and you're wandering around in the open world and you're just vibing. It's pretty cool, and it ended up being a very randomly fun Metroidvania, and honestly, out of Metroidvanias on the NES, I'd have to say that this one might be the best one, because NES Metroid, you best believe, is nowhere near this list, chat, and if you guys think it needs to be on this list, I don't give a shit. I do not care. Anyways, number 10, obviously Blaster Master, because it's a banger. But it's pretty hard, so I low-key recommend save states, rewinds, and abusing the shit out of that if you've never played it before. If you have played it before, though, ignore all of that advice and exert your superiority over me in the comments by calling me a little... What do you guys like to say? This bitch... This Gen Z bitch with her opinions about old video games. Get out of here. You guys like to say stuff like that. So please, I welcome it, chat. It helps me in the algorithm. At number 9 is Dr. Mario, and Dr. Mario is actually a super fun little... sort of like... I don't know, it's like a very underappreciated game, I feel like, on the NES. It's basically like Nintendo's take on Tetris, and you're flipping the pills around for the colors to match each other, but I feel like it's so much harder than Tetris, because it's not just like matching shapes and stuff, it's the colors is brutal. I always have a great time with Dr. Mario, and I always play it like if I need to waste a little bit of time. It's a great little gem on the NES that, people talk about it. I mean, Dr. Mario himself is obviously in Smash Bros, but at the end of the day, do we talk about the NES one enough? I don't know. It's also cool because it just shows like Nintendo's ability to do other genres of games and experiment with their mainline cast of characters this early on. And I mean, games like this, I feel like almost age the best out of most others, especially coming from the NES generation, just because like at that time games were coming out of the arcades and coming out of being the hardest shit imaginable, so you could spend more money and waste more quarters. And so games like this, where they are sort of arcadey and they lean into that, where it's just about setting a high score, there's some sort of just like fun factor to those that I think are really missing in a lot of like newer age games, genuinely. I mean, speaking of hard games though, at number 8 we have Ghosts and Goblins, and yeah, this is the hardest game I've played probably ever. I played like the original Contra and that game fucking sucked too. And whatever. But this game's real hard. I've never made it too far in this game, but from all my research, I do know that this is one of the best games on the system, and it is pretty good. Like, graphically, it looks phenomenal for an NES game, and the gameplay is pretty decent. It's just super duper hard. It's like one of the most iconic games in that way, and so I think something like this is almost perfect for Nintendo Switch Online, because other people who might have not grown up with it or are curious about it, like me, can go back and experience that without, like, having to buy it and having to waste all of this time in it, because like I feel like if you've played it a little bit, you kind of get the gist of it and you can go about it. You're throwing these spikes at these monsters coming up at you, and you're like this little night guy, and it's cool. Great graphics, good soundtrack, great world design. It's hard. Use rewinds, abuse rewinds, I'd say, and use those save states every time you get even a little far in this game, because it's a hard game. But yeah, I mean, it's fun, and a lot of people have very fond memories of it because they destroyed themselves as children to beat it for some reason, which sounds like the worst. I don't know what you guys were smoking when you were kids, but maybe it's because I'm like a different generation, but like when I was a kid, if a game was that hard, and even after I gave it to my dad and he couldn't beat it, or my brother tried and he couldn't do it, I was like, all right, we're done, moving on. I don't know. At number 7 is Punch-Out!, and Punch-Out's a really cool boxing game, but it's basically like a puzzler, because you just have to learn and memorize the way that these different opponents are moving, and what you need to do to counter them, and things like that. So it's basically a game all about countering and attacking at the right moment, and I think that's really cool. I mean, this is honestly a phenomenal little puzzle-ish game, and it's really cool to see where the series came from, especially if you've played things like the Wii one. I have not played that Wii game. I really want to, but the first game I played was the second one, Super Punch-Out!, on the SNES Switch Online service, and that was really cool. But this is just a cool sort of, you can see where it all came from, see where it all stemmed from, and it's a fun little time. Number 6 is going to be Earthbound Beginnings, and Earthbound Beginnings is a really cool game because this basically wasn't available anywhere for a very long time until it got localized, and then eventually came to the Nintendo Switch Online service. And so it was fun to see where the Earthbound series came from. I have a little confession: I've never beaten Earthbound, and I haven't beaten this game necessarily. I've seen many a playthrough, and I've played a lot of it, so like I get the gist, but I think it's pretty cool. Like, especially if you like Earthbound and if you're thirsting at the mouth for something new from that franchise, and you're not gonna get Mother 3, ladies and gentlemen. It's not happening. But it's cool to see where it all came from and how good those graphics are for an NES game. Like, honestly, like, out of anything, the world of this game just impressed me a lot, and the writing here is funny. It's pretty good. It's a quirky little thing. It's just like Earthbound, honestly, but worse, because it's like the first, inclination of the whole series. But I think for a lot of these, it's cool to see where it came from. And so if you have Nintendo Switch Online, this first time you're experiencing a lot of these games, like if you have these favorites from Smash or whatever, like whatever your association with these characters are, checking out their original games, and maybe not even beating them, but just seeing what is happening around there is super cool. It's something I highly recommend. At number 5 is The Legend of Zelda. The Legend of Zelda, the first one, is pretty good, especially for what was happening back then. It's basically like an open world. It's extremely cryptic. You need to bomb random walls that, how the fuck would you know what you're supposed to do, But it's cool, and I think with all the accessibility that Nintendo Switch Online gives to this game, it makes it a lot more digestible, a lot more fun to play and check out. And before Breath of the Wild came out, me and a friend had this thing where we're like, we have to finish and beat the original Zelda. Suffice to say, I did not end up doing it then, and whatever. But it's a cool game. And it honestly, like, if you like Breath of the Wild, out of all of the games you can go back to, this is the most stripped down version of Breath of the Wild. I mean, it's said all over the place that Nintendo actually used basically a build of this game dressed up in, Breath of the Wild mechanics a little bit to craft Breath of the Wild and create this world that they knew they needed. I'd love to see if they ever released that version, I guess, of like Breath of the Wild's cross the original Zelda. Like, I'd love to see what that looks like. But yeah, I mean, for an NES game, this was amazing. It's very fun on the system, and it's basically a free Zelda game that you have access to if you played and you loved Breath of the Wild. Like, obviously know that this is not Breath of the Wild. It's very different. It's very old, right, from like the 80s, but it has a lot of charm, and the sword play and a lot of that stuff is honestly pretty good, and you can see all these, iconic villains and stuff in their very first ever appearance here. So it's cool in a lot of ways. I really like it, and I feel that these top-down Zelda games have aged better than most things do from the 80s, Number 4 is Excite Bike. Excite Bike is just fun. I mean, it's similar to Dr. Mario, that it's basically like just a high score thing. I mean, you're trying to go around these tracks as fast as you can. You're trying to do some tricks off these little things. You're trying to jump them. You're trying to do a lot of cool shit here. And it's just fun to see how far you can go and to test, what happens if I pull back a little bit on when I take up this jump, or what happens when I go forward and I do a little flippy flip. So, it's cool. There's some cool stuff here. I guess I've been saying that for literally every game. They're NES games, so there's not too much, I think, to like dive into and discuss and the meaning of whatever. But Excite Bike, seeing the first inclination of this as well, looks cool, very fun, and it's just a breezy little game, especially if you don't want to like sit there and experience a Zelda adventure or a Metroid adventure, or this grand adventure, it's a cool thing to just loop around a little racetrack as fast as you can a couple times, try to get the highest score, and move on with your life. And honestly, you play this game a couple times, you absolutely get the gist of it. So, really liked it. I think it's a great game. And it's aged very well, just because of how simple it is. I mean, like I've said, like, these simple games, they really age like fine wine because there's not too much to fuck up here. Metroid was trying to do 70 million things without having a map and while still being cryptic as fuck. It doesn't work, you know? I'm doubling down. Metroid is never going to be on this list, chat. Never. Ever. Not that original one. Absolutely the fuck not. But at number 3, we have Kirby's Adventure. Kirby's Adventure is sick. This is like the best thing one of the best things on the NES. The graphics are beautiful. This was like the first time we were seeing Kirby, and Kirby was pink now, and everybody was like, what the fuck? And it was super... It's just a super good game. If you have any sort of affinity for Kirby, the beautiful thing about Kirby is it is barely changed. So like if you like Star Allies, you know, maybe Forgotten Land's a bit different, but if you like Star Allies, or if you like any of the 2D Kirby games, the Return to Dreamland or whatever, you play this original one and you know what to do. They don't really have like any insane copy abilities or whatever yet, but like it's fun. It's just Kirby platforming, and you fight some bosses, you beat some baddies, you vibe around. It's cute, it's relaxing, it's nice. This is one of the best games, I think, on the NES. Evidently, I mean, it's number 3. It's just fun. I like it a lot. Number 2 is just Super Mario Bros. It's a great game. The first one that came out with the NES, it's good. I mean, I've at this point beaten the whole thing quite a few times. I really, really enjoy this game. There's a reason speedrunners go back and they love to check it out, and it is kind of a difficult game, and there's a lot of learning curves, and so, like, if you're not ready for that shit, rewinds and save states are your best friend, because you can still really experience this game and everything it has to offer for the most part while using that kind of shit. So, like, just do that, and it's super duper fun. It's a great little time. Yeah, I mean, you can speed run it in like less than an hour and just vibe around, or you can go through the whole game like without using any of the warps and any of that and just have a grand old little time. I mean, it's cool. It pioneered everything for Mario, and so to see where Mario came from and to have all these gameplay mechanics that still are so relevant and still work so well, it's cool. Like, you played Mario Wonder, you want to go back to the original Mario, it's not too much of a, like, it's a massive leap, obviously, but like, from Wonder down to this game, it's intuitive, and you're going to understand what you need to do. It's left to right, the same kind of deal, just a little different. Very fun. Obviously, probably the most important game of all time. Kind of saved everything, right? They kind of killed it out there. But, unfortunately, the number 1 game is obviously not that one. It's Mario Bros. 3. Mario Bros. 3 looks the best on this entire set. I think it is the best looking thing they've ever put on the NES. It's gorgeous. They have killed it with the Mario sprite design. They killed it with all of the other sprites. They killed it with the world design. They killed it with this game. I mean, there's so much love poured into every aspect of this game, and in every single way, every other Mario platformer ever made has been trying to go toe-to-toe with Mario Bros. 3, and I do not think a single one has even come close. Mario Bros. 3 is glorious. The power-ups, the Tanuki suit, the platforming itself, the Goombas, the big world. It's so good. Every ounce of that game is immaculate. And so, if there is one game you play on the Nintendo Switch Online, it needs to be Mario Bros. 3, especially if you've never played it before. Out of all of the games ever made for the NES, if you are my age, you're Gen Z, you're freaking in your 20s, dog, and you grew up with the DS and whatever, go back and play Mario Bros. 3. It is aged beautifully. It plays wonderfully. It's a fucking banger of a game, and I couldn't recommend anything more. I know I've already said that, but it literally slaps, chat, and I cannot explain to you how amazing that game is. Out of everything in the world you could play right now, if you haven't played Mario Bros. 3, you actually have to. It's so good. If you like platforming at all, do yourself a huge favor and check it out. But thank you guys for getting all the way to the end of this video. Let me know your top 5 NES games on Nintendo Switch Online. I'd love to know what you guys like to play, and I hope you guys vibed with this list. If you're mad at me about anything, bitch about it in the comments below and help me out in the algorithm. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out this video, it's a banger, it's a vibe, it's a good time. If you are a girl, subscribe. I need a bigger female audience. I need the woman energy on this channel, chat. We're getting fucked with the male testosterone around here.